Can you imagine that feeling right before you're about to get run over by a stranger? I personally didn't think I'd ever have to live it. Well, this is how it happened. Welcome to Sketch My Story. I'm Skits, and this is my story. Alrighty then, so it all started on like a typical Monday morning when I was 10. My parents sent me to the shop, and so I hopped on my bike and I went. Let me preface this part of the story by saying I had no brakes, because somehow that translated into my 10-year-old self to be quote-unquote cool. I know. Anyway, as I was crossing down the road to go down a little back street, a car drove out right at the wrong time, and just as the guy was pulling out, we kind of like bumped into each other, causing my handlebar to scratch the back of his car. Just a little bit. It wasn't anything serious, just like a little scratch. But the way this guy reacted, you would think I'd slashed his tires or taken a dump in his driver's seat. Anyway, he gets out, his face is as red as a tomato, and just demanding to know where I live. Let me just say, I was extremely petrified. So I pointed at a house that was 100% not mine, and just sped away as fast as I could. Just as he starts making his way over to the place I pointed, I'm thinking that in his mind he's probably going to talk to my parents. So I was all in the clear, or so I thought. A minute later, I see him right behind me, so I turned down this alley that's specifically meant for bikes and not cars. Keep in mind, his car was a minivan. I feel like Elliot in E.T. running from the government, but instead of CIA agents involved, there was just a pissed off bloke in a minivan. Anyway, he's like right on my heels, his front bumper almost touches the back of my tire. I thought he was gonna run me over. The whole time I'm thinking, dude, murder for a scratch is a little bit excessive. The punishment does not fit my crime at all. At this point, I have no idea why he's so mad. All over this tiny little scratch. He could probably like buffer out or something. Maybe he was just upset that his car was a minivan and not like a Shelby Mustang GT350. Anyway, we walk down this alley and he yells at me to stop and says, "Where do you actually live?" As if there was any chance in hell I would voluntarily give up that information at this point. So instead of answering him, I just stared at him for a second and then rode off. He didn't like that. Not one bit. Luckily for me, he was at a red light, so I sped down the next 2 streets as fast as my little legs could carry me to beat that one specific red light, all while my heart is galloping. Eventually though, I managed to get down my road and into my house. But alas, he was right at the top of my road, and he was waiting to come and get me. Because I thought he saw me enter my front gate, I slammed my door shut, ran upstairs, looked out of my window, only to see that he'd stopped 3 doors down from where I live. And to top that off, he asked the neighbours if they saw me, but I assume they covered for me because he drove straight past my house. At this point, it honestly felt less like an alien sci-fi family classic from the 80s, and more like a horror film. Probably because I was a good kid, and yeah, this was the closest I've ever come to being in real trouble, like probably grounded for a week at best. Or possibly murdered. Honestly, it's a tad sad knowing that the best story I have is me almost getting followed and hit by a car. But I'm just glad it didn't end with death by minivan or enraged parents. But nowadays, government official or not, I tend to keep my distance from anyone in a minivan. Instead, I spend my time entertaining people with Minecraft on my channel. So, if you'd like, come on over, say hi, I'm friendly. But before you do, check out another animated story where Ryan gets chased. Not quite by a car, but by police. I know.